Hi, my name is Terry. I have 3 college degrees, including a master's degree from an Ivy League university. I'm fluent in 2 languages, and I have a commercial driver's license, which allows me to operate heavy trucks, and I still can't find a job. For the last 9 years, my girlfriend's been working at a fast food restaurant, but what she really wants to do is become an elementary school teacher. So every day I'm going to be coming on here and telling you guys stories about things that I think are cool or interesting, and then I'm going to teach you a little bit of Spanish until I can earn enough money to send my girl to teaching school. So, today we are continuing our subscriber requested videos on the US presidents and their impact on shaping America. The next up is the 21st president, Chester A. Arthur. If you've never heard that name before, you're not alone. Frankly, his presidency wasn't all that impactful, but he did have some accomplishments that changed America today. At the time when he was president, the Navy was filled with decaying wooden ships. He modernized them to steel-hulled ships, which allowed America to become a naval superpower. He was also responsible for the Chinese Exclusion Act in 1882. This was actually the first law restricting immigration in the United States based on race, and it caused decades of discrimination against Asians. Next up is Grover Cleveland. He was actually the first president to serve 2 terms that were not consecutive. His big thing was regulating wealthy businessmen. They were charging farmers and small businesses whatever they wanted for the supplies that they needed to operate. Cleveland stepped up and signed the Interstate Commerce Act in 1887. This was huge because it was the first time that the federal government had ever regulated the business sector. He was also the first president to get married in office and held a wedding inside the White House to Frances Folsom, who was 21 years old at the time, while he was 49. Sandwiched between Cleveland's 2 terms was Benjamin Harrison, the grandson of 9th President William Henry Harrison. Under his presidency, the federal budget reached $1 billion for the first time in American history. He also admitted 6 new states: Montana, Washington, Idaho, Wyoming, and both of the Dakotas, finishing the map with the 50 states that you know today. He signed the first law to curb the power of massive monopolies. Almost immediately after the start of Cleveland's 2nd presidency, the economy plunged into a deep depression. More than 500 banks closed, more than 15,000 businesses failed, and unemployment rose to 18%. People looked to Cleveland for help, but like Van Buren before him, he didn't believe in the government interfering with the affairs of the people. Instead, he was a proponent of the small government, personal freedoms model of government, so he withheld federal assistance. As a result, his people suffered greatly. The 25th president, William McKinley's most notable event was the Spanish-American War. After the USS Maine exploded in the Havana harbor, McKinley led the U.S. into war with Spain. The U.S. won this war in just 100 days, gaining Puerto Rico and Guam in the process. McKinley was shot by an anarchist in 1901, making Theodore Roosevelt the president. Ultra-wealthy businessmen were terrified of Roosevelt because he was crazy, a total wild card, unpredictable, and he didn't take orders from anybody. He used his power to break up railroad companies and big oil. He was worried that the rich would buy up all the land and cut down all the trees, so he established the U.S. Forest Service. He protected 230 million acres of land, and you have him to thank for the national parks. He also wanted to make a shortcut between the Atlantic and the Pacific for navy and trade. The problem was that Colombia owned the land and wouldn't sell. So Roosevelt supported a revolution for Panama to gain their independence. He then bought the land from them. He won a Nobel Peace Prize for negotiating an end to the Russo-American War, and he was the first American to ever win a Nobel Peace Prize. Up next is Woodrow Wilson. He believed that private banks had way too much power, so he established the Federal Reserve System, which is the basis for the banking system that Americans still use today. He passed the 19th Amendment, which gave women the right to vote. But what was weird about him was that he was very progressive economically and on women's rights, but he was the total opposite on race. He actually resegregated many federal government offices. His actions set black people back greatly, and the Ku Klux Klan experienced a massive resurgence during his term. Toward the end of his term, he had a massive stroke that left him paralyzed on one side. His wife, as well as his doctors, hid the severity of his condition. The 29th president, Warren G. Harding, cut taxes and reduced the national debt, helping to kickstart the Roaring Twenties, an era of jazz, radio, and consumerism in which the economy began to boom. Unfortunately, he's not known for his economy. He's known for presiding over one of the most corrupt governments up to that point. He hired his friends who used their positions to get rich. When he died, his vice president, Calvin Coolidge, took office. He believed that government should be as small as possible, so he sat back and watched the economy run itself. He cut taxes even further and vetoed any bills involving government spending. This led to prosperity for a short time, but it led to massive, unregulated bubbles that would inevitably pop. So the Spanish I'm going to be teaching you today is crees en el karma. Crees en el karma. Crees en el karma. And what that means is, do you believe in karma? Tomorrow we're going to be tackling the next 10 presidents in our series. And if you like this video or you learned something new, drop a like down below. If you have a topic that you'd like to see me cover, drop a comment. And if you'd like to support this work that I do, there'll be a link to the Cash App in the description box below. We'll see you tomorrow.